Oh, look, I gotta get some.
Oh.
Look at that stuff. We gotta get it.
My mom just got a bag of that, actually.
Is it good stuff? Good?
She says it's the best.
Is that the best?
She says it's the
If it
best.
is, I'll be in Washington, D.C., hopefully in the Oval Office. I'll send for popcorn. Okay?
Appreciate it.
Got your popcorn? How are you liking the show? Hey, it's your guy to the 21st century, Nate Houseman here. How's it going in your corner? All you freaks and disasters, by which I mean everyone with compassion, good faith, anyone who's trying to make a living while not selling out to the Babylonian system. I used to use the word empathy, but in honor of Charlie Kirk, I've dropped it and switched it for compassion. So it probably is a better word for what empathy was going for. So in this program, we're going to talk about the exposure and the show of all the fake, MAGA. And we shall call them FAGA. Hat tip to Brian Cates here, who we're going to start with. He's the one who coined that term, as far as I know. I saw a tweet of his. And if you've been on X the last, really all year, there's been a lot of fear, doubt, uncertainty, confusion, FUD over Trump's second term. We had the supposed kayfabe between Trump and Elon over the American Party. We had World War III, which was a flame out, which was really just Michael Corleone taking out the heads of the five families. We have a lot of consternation over Israel and the Jews, and we're going to go over that quite a bit here. I've got a whole folder of X posts bookmarked about clearing Israel's name, which we don't have time for today, but because this file is big enough. But that's a big part of it. We've got the H-1B controversy. We've got a lot of controversy. What we got to focus on right now is all the phony MAGA influencers. You got to be careful who you're following. And I've never claimed to be an Anon, but I am very discerning on who the real Anons are. And I have quoted and referenced fake patriots in the past, fake American patriots like Ian Carroll, because they had good information at the time. But a lot of them have been exposing themselves just in the last few weeks. And the coup de grace was the update on X that came just this last weekend. Today is November 26th, 2025. It's Wednesday. Around the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, we can now see the location that these X accounts are based in. By location, I mean country. Now, it will also indicate whether these accounts are using a VPN. I use a VPN because I value my privacy. But I can promise you that I am in Iowa because no one pretends to live in Iowa. If you can you hear the wind right now? The weather in Iowa is abusive. Iowa is the only state with no coastline, no mountains, no major cities with more than 400,000 people, and no major market sports teams. So no one would pretend to live in Iowa. That is my proof that I'm a U.S. citizen, a U.S. resident. But I'll explain why I use a VPN a little bit later when it's time to pay my bills. But it's very reassuring to know that a lot of the so-called America First crowd of America First accounts, like Nick Fuentes or Jake Shields or whatever, they're all bogus. They're all either con artists or all their followers are really just brown dudes from other countries chasing paper, trying to they're either bought or they're bots. So we're gonna start the program with this post by Brian Cates. He's the one who coined the term FAGA, so I want to give him credit. He says, Daily Wire, Ben Shapiro, here it comes. The concentrated push to split the Trump base, to get Trump out of the international affairs so he'll stop meddling in putting out their forever wars and other conflicts that they're so desperate at this point to get restarted. They need World War III. That's going to be like their last arrow in their quiver to stop Trump and stop what's coming. They never thought they would have to do this, but here we are. They have to split that Trump base somehow, and this is what they've decided on. Calling for the creation of two completely separate camps within the Trump base, the America First camp and the MAGA camp, and then demanding all the Trump supporters pick one of the camps and go into it so the two camps can start fighting with each other. If you fall for this shit, you need to turn in your non-digital soldier card. And he's reacting to, he's responding to this post by Red Wave Press. Daily Wire's Matt Walsh, the only country that should matter to our leaders is America. America only. America is the only concern. We should only get involved with other countries when there is an unequivocal benefit to our own country. And Charlie Kirk put it best. Rest in peace. He said, are you America first or America only? America first means, yeah, you're America first, but other countries can be our friends and allies. And if any country is our ally, it's Israel. And because Israel was founded by God out of his love for man. America was founded out of man's love for God. So therefore, we are together part of that movement. Now, whether modern Israel under its current government is the true Israel founded by God, I mean, like I said, I've got a whole stack of tweets to discuss that in a separate video. But the Jews, at least, they and the Christians are on the same team. Don't let the Groypers, don't let the anti-Semites lead you astray. Go read Paul's letter to the Romans, especially chapter 11, and especially chapter 11, verse 25, because chapter 11, Paul, the Apostle Paul, makes a very good analogy using an olive tree, saying, hey, Christians, Gentile Christians, are like wild branches that have been grafted onto a domesticated olive tree. Have respect for the tree that came before us. There's that. So we're gonna unmask. Well, not we, but we're gonna look at a lot of unmasked phony patriots. But first, I want to bring your attention to one of my sponsors, one of my referral partners, and the best of my knowledge, they are true patriots trying to go against some phony patriots. Here we go. You've probably seen Black Rifle coffee at Walmart or in the cold brew section at the convenience store or any other corporate retail chain. Black Rifle purports to be a patriotic company supporting the Second Amendment, but they turned their backs on Kyle Rittenhouse. Phonies. Who can we trust not to sell out? If you want to support a genuine American coffee company that values your right to self-defense, choose Blackout Coffee. Not Black Rifle, Blackout. Blackout Coffee is endorsed by the Second Amendment Foundation. Their products are available online, like any self-respecting 21st century startup, and they just taste better. I know from experience. I treat myself to Blackout Coffee, and you can treat yourself by clicking on the link in my program. Again, that's Blackout Coffee, not Black Rifle. Use my link or my promo code for 10% off your purchase. Blackout Coffee. I wear the hat to hide my bedhead because I don't always shower. Ha! All right. Now let's get started. We got to start with Marjorie Taylor Greene here, and we're going to start from the bottom and work our way up because that's how these folders list things chronologically. Marjorie Taylor Greene is set to resign from the House on January 5th, 2026, just after passing 5 years in office. That makes her eligible for a congressional pension. Now, she has had a falling out with President Trump. He said, Marjorie, you can't win a statewide election in Georgia. Your numbers just aren't that, your poll numbers just aren't that good. And she took that occasion to just turn on the MAGA movement. Now, we had heard hints that she's not quite fully in the loop with Trump's team. Like, she's just very vocal, critic of the far left, the Democrats and the far left. But let's jump to this post by Paul Fleur. He's responding to MJ Truth Ultra. MJ Truth Ultra points out her press release where she says, "There is a plan to save the world. No insane 4D chess game being played." MJ Truth thinks that's interesting. Paul Fleur says she's absolutely central casting. Her saying that specific part makes me think we are getting even closer, and even more optical separation is needed. Well, with OPSEC being a thing and all. So a lot of my Patriot friends, both in person and online, always criticize me for following Q because they think, oh, there is no plan. They say trust the plan mockingly, like as if in the same way that the corporate media says conspiracy theory mockingly. So they don't think there's a plan by Patriots, by White Hats, by the Q team to undo the 9,000-year-old death cult that's enslaving humanity. Now, I said before, trust the plan that Q. Well, I don't know if Q actually said trust the plan, but the plan that the Q and all the Anons, there is no QAnon, there's Q and the Anons. They keep saying the plan is to expose the system and bring in the people to help root them out. I think the people like you and me, the armed citizenry, we are the ones who are going to pull off the final blow, the coup de grace. But it is necessary to work clandestine as well and work behind the scenes. I mean, we've seen. You want an example of White Hats working behind the scenes? Do you really think the Biden, that person who occupied the White House for 4 years, was the real Joe Biden? I've shared memes, and a lot of people say, no, he was replaced. The real Biden was probably judged by some secret military tribunal for treason, as an enemy combatant. And I strongly suspect some public figures like Kevin Spacey and Simon Cowell have been judged and replaced with doubles also. You could possibly John Fetterman. I mean, there's probably at least 4 different John Fettermans in the Senate. So if you want an example, go with that. And another thing to consider is in warfare, you can't always tip off your enemies to what you're doing. It's okay to expose what the enemy's doing, but you can't always give away your own information, give away your own, operations. I've said, since I've seen this one podcast episode featuring General Flynn, the enemy is not allowed to keep secrets. The White Hats are. So you got to work in secret while exposing the enemy's secrets. We are at war. That's how war works. So let's move on here. Greg Price pointing out another phony conservative. After being hilariously and pathetically wrong in his prediction that President Trump would lose the 2024 election, Senator Mitch McConnell has now spent all 2025 doing nothing but working to undermine the MAGA agenda at every turn. He voted against several members of his cabinet, sided with the Dems to oppose Trump's tariffs, fought against nuking the filibuster, and is now attacking President Trump for working to end the Russia-Ukraine war. He's got this quote by McConnell. Putin has spent the entire year trying to play President Trump for a fool. If administration officials are more concerned with appeasing Putin than securing real peace, then the president ought to find new advisors. So we're also going to talk about Thomas Massie and Rand Paul, because one of the ways you can spot a phony MAGA is by the support for Thomas Massie, Rand Paul, or Marjorie Taylor Greene, unless Marjorie Taylor Greene is an actor playing a role and she's a secret white hat. But that's one way you can find out a fake MAGA. Another way to find a fake MAGA is their criticism of Israel and the Jews. The third the third marker of a fake MAGA I found out is gloating over being unvaccinated, as if being vaccinated is a choice, or as if trauma-based conditioning is not a thing. I've gone over that in my video where I asked Grok if abuse and trauma can be perpetrated nationwide or at scale. Go watch that video when you're done here. Now, I should have included this tweet in my other folder, but here's an example of people. This might be an example of people like questioning Trump, wondering whether he's really legit. He had Zoran Mamdani, the mayor-select of New York City. No way I think, Zoran Mamdani was not elected by the people of New York, at least not the native-born American people of New York. Foreigners and dead people surely voted for him. But let's read this. Mamdani was asked about calling Trump a fascist, and just as Mamdani started to squirm and gave a BS politician answer, Trump stepped in to save him and said, "That's okay, you can say yes. It's easier. It's easier than explaining it. I don't mind. Trump is the GOAT." So let's just turn the sound on. The way he pat his arm, that's nice. I think this is another part of the show. I think Trump wants Mamdani to go full-fledged, retard on the city, because he wants the left to reveal themselves, just as we want the FAGA weirdos to show themselves. This is all part of the show. This is all part of the D-class. Now, okay, here's the first instance that I have here of fake MAGA being revealed by the Twitter update. Republicans Against Trump, which has almost 1 million followers, is based in Austria. The shield icon indicates that the account uses a VPN to appear based in the US. There's a shield icon there. I have a shield icon on my own profile because I use a VPN all the time, because I value the Fourth Amendment and I value my privacy. But I did ask Grok how to get rid of that shield icon, and it said, turn off your VPN for extended periods while you're not doing anything private, and over time the app will stop showing that shield icon. So I just gotta give it time. But there you go. Fletch 17 is pointing out the Democrats profile, saying this shows the account is using a VPN and the location may not be accurate. Boy, that just about sums up the Democrat Party. So if someone has the Democrat Party's ear, tell them turn off your VPN for a week or two and see if that goes away. Grums, who talks a lot about the video game industry, he used to be the one of the directors of World of Warcraft. He's got so many based and wonderful takes. He says, nobody based in the USA is upset about X revealing their location. Everybody else is very upset, even when they're not trying to be private. Why is that? It's because the USA carries informational clout. Opinions of the USA lead the world, and X is a market for opinions. Bullseye. MAGA is dead. Brought to you by some tool in Europe. This is Antunes. He keeps saying, make America great for Chinese migrants. Make America great for Indian immigrants. Make America great for Palantir and Thiel. Make America great for Israel First Zionists. Make America great for Miriam Adelson. Antune has been revealed to be in Europe. So there you go. Flush 17 again points out, first Elon buys Twitter. Then Elon makes the blue check purchasable. Many do this. Then he shares the revenue for set accounts. Even more jump on board. Then he quietly turns on location settings for all accounts. Now we see everything. Almost like this, it was his plan all along. So yeah, I mean, for a short time, I turned off my subscription because I didn't want to support his WEF CEO, Linda Yaccarino, but then I got over it, and I'm glad I did. Ooh, Alex Soros. He's based in Niger, a country in Africa. Alex Soros. This is George Soros' son, who and his heir apparent. Awakened Outlaw says, allow me to explain. Niger does not have an extradition treaty with the United States. Probably nothing. To which I wonder, does Kenya have an extradition treaty to the United States? Who would want to claim Kenyan citizenship? Someone whose father was from Kenya? Someone named Barack Obama Jr.? Now, this is important. Harry Sisson. If you've been on Twitter for any length of time since Elon liberated it, you know about Harry Sisson, leftist troll extraordinaire. He's only like 23 or 24 years old. We'll do the math here. Sarah Fields points this out. My theory about Harry Sisson was right. He was groomed for what he does. Harry's account was created in 2011 when he was 9. So he's 23. Date joined December 2011 in Ireland. Here, created in 2011 when he was 9. He left Singapore when he was 14. Many people think he may have bought the account since you can't have an account at 9 years old. But his account was created in a country where he holds dual citizenship, Ireland, and it has had 0 username changes. The account's creation in Ireland in 2011, when he was only 9 years old, screams family setup rather than a solo effort or a later purchase. The 0 username changes and the location match perfectly support the idea that it was set up and held for his eventual use. The account stayed quiet or low activity until around 2016, when he was 14, when he began posting about U.S. politics. His life was planned out for him from the time he was an unsuspecting child. Sad, so I'm going to have to make some meme about him being groomed the same way Justin Bieber was groomed. Black Dumpling. We're gonna look at some more exposed accounts later on, but Black Dumpling has this to point out. What's interesting is that we've had this data the entire time. We could have just asked, show us your account details, and voila, there it is. This leads me to believe that former Twitter, under Jack Dorsey, knew there were tens of thousands, if not millions, of foreign nationals influencing American politics and just did nothing. So, Mr. Patriot, one of the newer accounts I've discovered and who is so based, I started following him right away. Nick says, Nick White has a lot of support from young and disaffected men in America. And you see all these accounts based in Europe and Canada and the UK and New Zealand. How much you want to bet most of Nick Fuentes' audience, and Candace Owens for that matter, are based in Pakistan or India or the Middle East? How many of them are even human? How many of them, well, probably a lot of them are human. How many of them are sock puppet accounts or come from a bot farm? Ed Wilkins points out, American, colonial stock, 1620s. He's referring to the general. Account based in Turkey. They joined March 2016, account based in Turkey. I don't know much about the general. Native Patriot has this to say. The reason I like native over Indian is because the dot Indians, the ones who wear a dot on their head, have ruined the word. I don't want to be mixed up with those poop-throwing bad drivers. I'm 100% American. He's got this meme. What kind of an Indian are you? Solianath says, Almost every account claiming to be a Native American and fomenting hatred against white people is a foreigner, and almost all of them coming specifically from Bangladesh. They're all promoting off-site merch shops, and all have tens of thousands of followers. Very clear botting. So, Native American account based in Bangladesh, proud Native American account based in Bangladesh, Native American culture account based in Bangladesh, Native American account based in Bangladesh. These are two different accounts called Native American with very similar handles, but except one of them has an underscore. So I don't know if they're the same or they're one is a sock puppet account or what. Ian Carroll, first victim. He's based in Qatar. Qatar is a meme all its own. Niall Berg says, Elon Musk probably doesn't even know the earthquake he unleashed in Iran. Because of the country location update, we now have a full list of regime supporters inside Iran who are so important and valued that they get to enjoy VPN-free social media. This is extremely useful info. We can now investigate exactly who these figures are and why they have this privilege. Very interesting times ahead. So she's got a collage of different accounts. It's too small for me to read, even on my big monitor, but let's move on. Mr. Patriot again, talking about Nick Fuentes. Nick Fuentes is popular for the same reason Pedro Pascal is in every fucking movie on television right now. He's being forced on our throats because the industry has realized they can make a lot of money off him. This place is no different than Hollywood. It's fake and gay, and it's not about talent, it's about connections. Once you all realize these people don't give a fuck about the country, they only care about making money and getting famous, you'll understand how fucked we really are with the new media taking over the role of delivering information to the public. And he's responding, and Mr. Fate is responding to this by AG. The reason Fuentes has gained so many viewers is that people like Tucker Carlson have tried to launder his views to their audiences and normalize him. Fuentes spends every day promoting the worst hate imaginable, promoting pedophilia, racism, segregation, Jew hatred, hatred of Indians, hatred of women, etc. How does Tucker frame that? I guess he's not perfect. Tucker has more incentive for basically anyone who disagrees with him on any foreign policy topic than he does for an open racial supremacist. That's intentional. Tucker knows exactly what he's doing. Fuentes barely had an audience a few years ago, despite laundering the same stuff. Then he had some streamers normalize him, and now people like Candace and Tucker have tried to do the same. It has nothing to do with him catching on to some sentiment or message others don't understand. These aren't policy disagreements. This is about laundering hate, and we should be honest about it, and all decent people should stand up against it. A lot of times you can't get famous online unless you're platformed by someone else who's already big. Carrie Smith, who's got a great YouTube channel that I need to watch more often because she's been on fire on Twitter lately. She's responding to Joel Berry. Let's see what Joel Berry says. This new account basing feature is exposing so many foreign ops. How many influencers have been chasing the popular approval of a fake audience? And Carrie says, I was thinking about this. It's not just that bots and foreign ops can, over time, pull people into evil ideology through social pressure. It's also that influencers who think they have a lot to lose and can find themselves doing crazy things like defending the indefensible. If their priority is pleasing their audience and they think the audience is supporting Fuentes, for example, it's been a great dividing tool, though. It's been a great defining tool, though, to see who has a backbone and who doesn't. Moving on. Okay, so here we have all right, let's read what Fuentes Updates says first. Fuentes Updates is a pro Fuentes account, glazing him. Says progressive Democrats and nationalist Republicans need to work together. The left will have to give up on immigration, the right on the free market. That would be popular compromise and blueprint to remove support for Israel. So this clip is 2.5 minutes long. We're not going to listen because he's cringe and he's poison. Michael O'Fallon explains what's going on here. Thesis leads to antithesis, leads to synthesis. Problem leads to reaction, leads to solution. Woke left and woke right performing together in a dialectical political warfare through sublation. Sublation in the dialectical process is where ideas and concepts evolve by being simultaneously canceled or negated, preserved, and elevated into a higher, more complex form. Because the issue is never the issue. The issue is always the revolution. So, I gotta read this again. Sublation in the dialectical process is where ideas or concepts evolve by being simultaneously canceled, preserved, and elevated into a higher, more complex form. Sounds more to me like the Mott and Bailey fallacy, where ideas or concepts get conflated with each other, and the more controversial and toxic idea hitches along with a more acceptable idea and gets accepted. Because I don't know what Michael Fallon is saying by being simultaneously canceled or negated and preserved. That's not good grammar. Oh, okay. Let's move on. Entertain's official organization account was connected to Qatar and based in Lebanon. The War Room, Entertain, Lebanon. All right. Captain Dreamer. Captain Dreamer is a new one to me. I've only seen him in the last couple of days. I've only discovered him or her in the last couple of days. Is that a picture of David Koresh in his profile pic? Weird. Narrator says, Captain Dreamer was featured in my collection of dissident right Twitter circles last year. Jack Posobiec was also featured in one of those, and he challenged me to a boxing match over it. Jack knows who Captain Dreamer is. He's not an unknown guy. In one screenshot below, you can see Jack reposting Captain Dreamer's defense of Tucker Carlson versus actual American conservatives. In another screenshot, you can see Captain Dreamer explaining his thoughts about Joel Berry in the U.S. Constitution. Have you figured it out yet? These people are not American conservatives. They're alt-right radical agitators. They know what they're doing. They know what they're trying to destroy. So let's read this. Captain Dreamer is responding to Joel Berry. The European mind cannot comprehend the Declaration of Independence. Captain Dreamer says, this guy really is scum. One of the worst people on here, and he deserves to be relegated to oblivion. Totally a repulsive person. And Jack Posobiec says, exactly. Responding to Captain Dreamer, does anyone think they would have stopped with Tucker? This is just an excuse for Ryan to try to take out any right opposition. And that was, I can't see the data on that, but I wonder if that's referring to Charlie Kirk. Now, we got to talk about Candace Owens. I don't know where to start with Candace Owens, and I think that's probably the point because her content is just all over the place. This one account I follow, Natalie Jean Reister. I know her account when I see it. I can never remember her name exactly, but she's been following Candace Owens and chronicling her very well, better than I can because there are so many channels I follow on top of my normal working my normal jobs like driving Uber and freelancing, but you want to take in a toxic, podcast in context and criticize it piece by piece. You can't do that with Candace because her content is so convoluted, you don't know where to start. Dear Clandestine breaks it down. Clandestine is a pathological liar. Candace Owens is a pathological liar who is making a fortune grifting off millions of you. Her grift is simple. Make wild and dramatic accusation. Say proof is coming in the next episode. Make a new accusation without ever showing any proof. Say proof is coming next episode. Repeat. She's been doing the same thing over and over again. And no matter how many times she rug pulls you idiots, you still listen to what she has to say. Many of the influencer class amplify her stupidity as if it's gospel. The madness has to stop. We cannot allow the Candace Owens of the world to continue to lead the people astray. We have to loudly reject insanity, and we must promote the influencers who provide a better example for the people. So I wonder if a lot of her viewers just tuning in to either watch the train wreck, or actually analyze her. And that, I would say, don't watch her podcast directly. Go to some reaction channel like, I don't know if Nuxnor's ever reacted to her, but find some YouTube or Rumble channel that reacts to her and watch that instead. Don't give her the clicks until you know you want to watch her directly. Hitler Hated Christ is a great account who's debunking everything about the Nazis. He's responding to Fuentes Updates again. Christ left us a church, not a Bible. The Bible does not come together in the canon until centuries after Christ lived, died, and lived again. Nick Fuentes clarifies his position on reading the Bible without church authority and interpretation. Yeah, one of the big divides between Catholics and Protestants is Protestants place the Bible, God's word, over the authority of the church. The authority of God's word over the authority of the church. Catholics place the authority of the church over the authority of the Bible. That's the reason why there are so many different Protestant denominations splitting over. I mean, the one thing they agree about is prioritizing the Bible. Hitler Hated Christ counters this with a quote saying, if you attend Mass every Sunday for 2 or 3 years, you'll hear the entire Bible, Catholic Mass. This is false. It's something like 71% of the New Testament and only 13% of the Old Testament. These are the higher post-Vatican II numbers also. It was previously lower, and he's got like a table. He's got some charts showing the stats. So, yeah. I mean, the church doesn't decide what God's word is. God decides what God's word is. The church can only determine what God really meant for us to preserve. I mean, he did it as early as the Torah when he gave the Israelites the first 5 books, which are the Torah: Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. The Israelites added more books to the Tanakh, what we Christians call the Old Testament, the Jews call the Tanakh, or I don't think I'm pronouncing that right, but prophets proved they were prophets by the fact their prophecies came true. Their short-term prophecies came true. Then they were able to demonstrate that, they knew what's going on into the far future. Books like Chronicles and 1st and 2nd Samuel, which were about David and the different kings that followed him, they were compiled by witness accounts. And they definitely showed God's work in the world. Let's continue. Clandestine says, so it turned out a large chunk of the Jew-hating crowd were foreigners posing as Americans. It's almost like the woke right is just an astroturf foreign opt to fracture MAGA from within. Israel derangement syndrome is an opt to make Trump's supporters turn on him. So, yep, this is really just Russiagate Part 2. It's the sequel to Russiagate. King Crocoduck, debunking some more Nazi mythology, says, oh, but Hitler said the German economy is the most smooth-brained take in history. Right up there with Columbus proved the world is round and Rome was founded by Pharaoh brothers. The economy of Germany was a Ponzi scheme that ran off the fumes of the booty it plundered from the countries that it conquered, and it was destined to collapse the moment it entered a war that couldn't be won quickly. When Albert Speer came along to mobilize the entire economy for war late in the game, it wasn't an act of Nazi economic genius. He just cooked the books to make himself look good and accommodate Hitler's delusion that the war was winnable. In reality, the Nazi economy was a sham, a fraud perpetrated by megalomaniacal criminals who thought the bottom would never fall out and because destiny would assure their continued victory in warfare. Utter madness and barbarity. Yeah. Here's a great scene. I've not seen the movie. I've seen like a quote from the movie about the Battle of the Bulge where 2 Nazi officers are talking about American POWs after the invasion started. They pointed out, hey, this cake that one of our American prisoners is carrying is still fresh. And it was made in Boston, Massachusetts. You know what this means? American logistics is so advanced, they can ship a cake over the ocean fast enough to stay fresh in Europe. American logistics were that damn superior that no, they couldn't. Germany couldn't beat us. Insurrection Barbie, who's proven herself to be one of the good guys, she responded to Tucker Carlson Network here. Let's read what Tucker Carlson Network says. Young Americans have had enough. Years of getting screamed at about anti-Semitism by the same people casually promoting anti-white, anti-male fanaticism has brought well-meaning citizens to the brink, pushing them toward ostracized voices like Nick Fuentes. Is that everything Nick Fuentes ever said right? Of course not. But his popularity among young men reflects their frustrations around issues like affordability, immigration, and Washington putting our country last. Maybe that's why his show has so many viewers. Americans are disenfranchised, are disenchanted, and Fuentes feels their pain. On this episode of Tucker Carlson's show, Tucker's opening monologue explains the reason for Fuentes' rise, followed by a candid interview with Nikki Haley's son, Nayland Haley. So, Instructor Barbie says, no, his popularity with young men reflects how broken and disillusioned they are. Which means this is when they need truth and purpose more than anything else, and everything he promotes only capitalizes on confusion, anger, and resentment. Continuing to teach leftist victimhood will destroy the country, but more importantly, it will destroy them. When people are lost, you need to help them find their way back to the truth, to purpose. What you're doing is capitalizing off their confusion and anger for money and power. You teach them nothing useful except how to believe their country is controlled by shadowy forces they can't control. All that does is trauma bond them to authoritarians. You're destroying them in the country with that message. Yes. Julie Green, on her Rumble channel, Julie Green Ministries, keeps saying we cannot have a political resolution to our problems in this country without a spiritual resolution. Trump cannot do what he needs to do unless we have a spiritual awakening. Before we can fix Congress, before we can fix the government, before we can fix America, we got to fix the church in America. I mean, I blame the church. I blame Satan's infiltration of the church for our COVID response more than anything else. I blame Satan's infiltration of the church for a lot of our problems because the church should have been a voice of reason. The church should have been standing up against the vaccine mandates, against the lockdowns. But a lot of churches just stepped aside. You know what? I think that's a good time. That's a good segue to another one of my sponsors, because a lot of people are hurting. Listen to this. 80% of Americans injected a dangerous drug that they were told would protect them from COVID-19. Instead of protection, millions have suffered blood clots, altered personalities, reproductive dysfunction, and more. If you're like me, you're outraged by what was done to you. You don't have to admit you were wrong. You can admit you were lied to by your doctor, your employer, even your church, by every institution that should have had your back. The good news is there are remedies waiting to be rolled out. President Trump, Vice President Vance, Elon Musk, Dan Bongino have taken the COVID shot, and they're working confidently to make America great again. They know something. Until the world is ready, preparations are being made by true conscientious medical professionals. They're building alternatives to the medical establishment that betrayed us. One of those alternatives is the Wellness Company, and I'm honored to be one of their referral partners. They provide multiple supplements to help detox from the COVID shots. They also provide medical kits with ivermectin, the antiviral and anti-parasite medication that Big Pharma dreads. Follow the Wellness Company in the research until we're made whole and on to the new health paradigm. Click on the link and use my promo code for 10% off your purchase. Reclaim your health. Link in the description, and I got a promo code to give you a discount. So please take advantage of that. Now, here is another case of Tucker Carlson being a total MAGA traitor to MAGA. He thinks feudalism was a good system. Once upon a time it was, but we've moved on. He says I really do prefer the feudal model. It's the model of all time. Dinesh D'Souza, who's proving himself to be one of the good guys, says everyone who prefers the feudal model inevitably thinks of himself as a lord, never as a serf. The American founders rejected this model because they hated the idea of both lords and serfs. So, yep. I mean, serfs are slaves. Let's be honest. Misfit Patriot again, pointing out Mamdani and making a good analogy. The shift you're seeing with Mamdani sucking up to Trump, kissing the ring, and pivoting on socialism is exactly what you'll see from Nick Fuentes if he gets mainstream. Radicalism is just a grift. They use useful idiots, and I mean idiots, to get popular because they know playing off emotionally stunted retards is the easiest way to gain popularity. That being said, anyone who will pretend to be radical is radical. You can't trust these fucking people. They don't care about anyone but themselves. So yeah, I mean, part of it's a grift for money. Part of it's, a sinister plot to divide MAGA and divide people from turning back the evil death cult. But they're both bad, and they can both be true at once. Ooh, here's a big revelation. DC Drano says, wow, the Planned Parenthood account is based in Germany. We've been subjected to a massive foreign interference op in America for years. They want us divided and weakened from within. Thank you, Elon Musk, for again exposing the truth. Planned Parenthood, who are responsible for killing hundreds of thousands of babies in the U.S., is based in Germany. Right there. They even have a VPN saying they're based in Germany. So, okay. I mean, I said I would show you, tell you why I use a VPN, and I'm going to right now. It's another sponsored clip here, but this is important too. The right to bear arms is vital to the self-defense of Americans, and it's enshrined in our Second Amendment. But did you know your right to privacy is just as important? If criminals, corporations, or even the government learned your secrets, you'd be at their mercy. That's why the Fourth Amendment protects Americans and requires law enforcement to obtain warrants before they search you. The bad news is, online, big tech colludes with government to bypass the Fourth Amendment. This was revealed in the Twitter files. The good news is, you can guard your online privacy with a VPN. VPN stands for Virtual Private Network, and it masks your computer's IP address and browsing history. I'm proud to partner with NordVPN, the industry leader. With one NordVPN account, you can guard multiple electronic devices. You can share files between your protected devices, and you can set your VPN to other countries. That way you can access content that's not available in your region. Again, that's NordVPN, the #1 VPN in the world. Click on my link and protect yourself from prying eyes. I normally don't like to post commercials so close together, but yeah, I wanted to get to that point before we wrapped up here, because we're at the last post here, and this is important. We're coming back to Brian Cates here, talking about Edward Snowden. He says Snowden is not the hero some people make him out to be. At the time the CIA sent him at the NSA to try to spy on the sabotage Q team. So, what's it referring to here? This is a test of the emergency freakout system. Snowden's warning is real. His analysis is accurate, but this moment asks a different question. Do you panic, or do you remember everything that I've written about the White Hats seizing the rails before the public ever realized these systems existed? Because here's the truth beyond the noise. China built the prototype, but the West never gained the control they thought they would. The same AI canopy Snowden described. The metadata rails, behavioral scoring, the identity scaffolds were intercepted years ago. The trap was designed to expose the architecture, not enslave the public. The deep state wanted a global social credit system. They wanted the same Shanghai model scaled into the West. They wanted digital ID, automated punishment, and algorithmic obedience. But the White Hats used the pattern to reveal the pattern. You see, everything Snowden warned about is the illusion of inevitability. The psychological operation is meant to make you freeze, to make you surrender to a future that looks predetermined. The real test is whether You remember the counter arc. Palantir was captured. Elan was captured. Starlink was captured. The executive orders locked the rails. So, yeah, one of the biggest criticisms from the woke right or the MAGA or FAGA is that Trump is kowtowing to big tech, like Peter Thiel, like Larry Ellison, like Palantir, and all that, succumbing to big tech, our big tech overlords. No, what Trump did, and Trump and the White Hats did, was they captured these tech titans and they made them work for us. Executive orders locked the rails. COG, continuity of government, positioned the assets. The AI can't be flipped from surveillance to exposure. Snowden is describing the system as it was designed to become, not the system the White Hats allowed to become. This entire era tests whether a population reacts with fear or recognizes the quiet shift already in motion. The reality is, AI is no longer their weapon. It is the instrument revealing the corruption they attempted to hide. The same metadata that once mapped citizens now maps them. This isn't the rise of the cage. This is the exposure of the cage. Snowden's message makes people up. Your job is to carry the next step of the arc. We do not fear the system. We understand it. We know who captured it. We know it has been captured. We know it's been captured. Stay informed. Stay aware. Stay ready. The test is not the warning. The test is whether you remember the plan. And yeah, let's actually listen to Edward Snowden here. Now, what observing consciousness points out is now we're using that information against the enemy, against deep state players, against Babylon. Let's call the enemy what it is: Babylon, the ancient system. Babylon wasn't just a city in the ancient in what's now Iraq. Babylon was a system that was set up by Nimrod in defiance against God. Babylon tried to build the Tower of Babel, or allies of Babylon did. And it's not just a city, it's a system. And that system exists today, even after the city itself has been abandoned and deserted. Babylon, the system of tyranny, exists, and its tentacles are throughout, are spread throughout the world. But Trump is God's modern day David. Trump and the White Hats, they couldn't accomplish all that they're doing unless they had help from higher power. If you don't believe God was with Trump, then you obviously did not see what happened in Butler, Pennsylvania. I mean, Trump turned his head at exactly the right time, even when he didn't mean to. And with it, and he was a centimeter away from being killed by the sniper's bullet. If that's not an act of God, if that's not God acting through his people, through one of his people, if you think that, I don't know how else to reach you. But other thing to consider is, how is Q able to be so insightful? It's possible that Q is a very advanced AI. There's also the theory that Q is actually God talking to Trump and the White House and Patriots through the Ark of the Covenant. Like they recovered it somehow. I'm not gonna assert either of those theories is true. It's fun to think about, but I really do think though Trump is acting through certain people, like he always does. Scripture is full of examples of God acting through people, giving the power through the Holy Spirit, giving them insight, giving them wisdom, giving them information. Not so much information that they tip their hand to the enemy, Satan, and his followers, but just enough to turn the tide. So if you don't trust Trump, at least trust what God did for Trump and Butler. That's what I'll say. I've got another, I got a few more. I've got so many these folders lined up. I just gotta overcome my ADHD, executive dysfunction, to actually record some videos. But I want to get through them. So with that, I'll let you go. The White Hat's in control. God is in control. The fact that the enemy is resorting to this means they're more desperate than ever, and we need to take heart and be of good cheer. So with that, I'll let you go. This is Nate Houseman letting you know that more than ever, it's okay to stand up for yourself. Over and out.